Let's come to an understanding. 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 Let's come to an understanding.
Yeah, we're live. What's up, Drew?
Amish, we're back on Zoom.
Woo! Back on Zoom, hey? We tried the Squadcast. Look, the Squad was a good effort. We tried the Squadcast, no video. They're weird.
Listen, I'm losing money. I'm losing free trial money right now.
Your free trial money.
I'm
That's so
losing
funny.
all the freemium. That's just gone down the. That's just gone down the tube.
Don't cry. Don't cry over spilled milk or freemium.
Do you ever feel it? Do you get that anxiety of like, oh my god, the trial?
The
free
trial,
trial
you lost
money.
The trial, eh? I did have it when I signed up for Steezy.code the first week of my hip hop dance classes. Dude, I did the whole first week. They have a first week trial. You're supposed to do it one per day. I got it done by the third day so that I knew for sure, do I want to buy this or not? You know what I'm saying? You got to stay ahead of your trials.
You push that freemium to the limit. You learn something about yourself and,
but I would say
the product.
Exactly. I would say the next time you go into a freemium, go in there attacking it. Go in there saying, give me a reason to cancel you. I don't need you.
Yeah.
Prove it. You want my money? Prove to me that I should pay money. I think you bought into the Squadcast a little too soon. You want to get you're trying to get more.
You know
freemium
why?
out of them?
You know
Let
why?
them go.
Because I was listening to the Pivot podcast with Cara Fisher
They're on
and
it, eh?
Scott Galloway, and I was like, these guys have great sound quality.
Mhm.
What's the secret? And
Squadcast.
I listened to an episode, and they dropped, we're using Squadcast, and then I was like, all right, well, that's it. That's all. Me and Amish got to get on the Squadcast. We got to get to the
Right.
Vox Media level quality of sound.
Hey,
But,
man, I'm pretty sure the Supreme Court of the
that.
United States is doing their shit on Zoom. So if Clarence Thomas can do Zoom, I think we can do Zoom.
Are you sure it's Zoom though? Because
I don't know.
Aren't a lot of like government agencies not even allowed to use Zoom because it's Chinese and they feel like it's like a threat?
You know what? I don't know. They just said it was teleconferenced. So maybe
that doesn't mean Zoom. They're
Hey,
probably using Squadcast.
They could be
probably
using
Squadcast.
I don't see it. I don't see the U.S. government doing Squad.
They're probably using an American
video.
startup. They're probably using a great American startup like
Okay.
Squadcast. Okay.
They have video. Whoever they're using has video.
Okay, that is a knock against Squadcast. Where's the video?
No video on Squadcast.
We're multifaceted here. We're not just audio. We're audio
Yeah.
and video. We're a visual podcast.
I think we can adjust the Zoom so that maybe our audio quality is higher and our video quality is lower. Because we don't need our video quality that good. We just need the audio to be tight, and then we need video for like an added bonus for our Instagram or whatever. If we can think about clips, so whatever.
You know
we'll figure it
what?
out.
This is like a damned if you do, damned if you don't thing. We're trying with Zoom. Listen, Zoom, you live to see another day.
I'd like
But
to see another day, especially if there's no time limit on us today.
Who knows for how much longer?
Look, if we don't get hit with the time limit today, I'm giving Zoom's freemium more.
Yeah, but
chance.
we're only not going to get hit with the time limit because it's just the two of us. Because we lost the guests. No one wants to do the show anymore because we're on Zoom still, and they're like, "Squadcast is where it's at, baby."
Wow, you
Pick
think
it up.
Squadcast is like that?
I think people are kind of like, you guys are still using Zoom. Okay, what is this, March? We're in May, and it's kind of a Squadcast world now.
That's funny. Okay, cool.
That's how I feel the fans are reacting. By the way,
Well, now
Amish,
you're saying that Zoom is Chinese. Zoom is Chinese? Because that adds a bit of
now I'm
information.
saying Zoom's been Chinese. What do you mean now I'm saying Zoom's
Zoom's
Chinese?
Chinese.
Like
Well,
I'm
this is
coming in all of a sudden. And
No,
you're
no,
the
no,
guy,
this
yeah,
is a
you're
new
the guy
piece of
trying to
information.
declare war on China. You're trying to declare war on China. Like
This is a new piece of information that you've given me, and now I will start looking into alternatives because we can't. Oh, speaking of authoritarian governments, though, should we get right into it, or do you want to talk about your week? How you been, man? How's your mental health holding up? You okay? How's the corona treating you? How's the quarantine?
Mental health's okay. I saw my friend today. You know, something sad. I want to give a shout out. My neighbor passed away from corona, actually. My neighbor passed away. Yep. So I want to give a rest in power, rest in peace to Dom, my neighbor.
Wow.
Yep.
Rest in peace, man. Sorry to hear that.
Yep.
My uncle showed up with suitcases thinking that he was just going to come chill with my mom. My mom's like, we all kiboshed it, and we sent my uncle back home.
What? Where'd he come from? India?
No, he came from his own apartment building, and
Okay.
he's just been like going around, and me and my sisters just started sending texts. We were like, block this immediately. He's not getting in the house. And then we call my mom, and my mom had to be like, sorry, dude. Sorry, brah.
Sorry, brah.
Sorry, brah.
Sorry, brah.
Gotta pick one spot. You gotta pick one spot, brah. The kids are kiboshing me on this, brah. And I'm gonna call him. I'm gonna call him more. I'm gonna call.
What was his reaction? Did he take it well?
I like, honestly, they're immigrants, so it's like they don't know what their emotions are. I'm gonna call him tomorrow and like make sure he's okay mental health wise, because they are getting lonely over there. Him and his wife don't get along. They hate each other. They've always hated each other. They just scream at each other all day.
Oh,
so he's trying to get out of the house and go to someone and just live with someone, and then it calms their energy down a little bit. So they kind of need it, but at the same time, he's wild, man. He's wild. He can't be trusted. And I had to come and talk him down too, and be like, look, man, it costs the healthcare system money, but also you're all gonna die.
You're trying to be fiscally responsible. That's what you're starting him with.
I'm starting him with look.
Listen,
a burden on the health system.
Are you trying to be fiscally responsible? Do you love this country? Huh? Do you want this country to be in the toilet because of you?
Hey, these nurses are suffering, Drew. These nurses are getting marks on their face from the mask is on 16 hours a day. It's a burden on the system. So I tell my uncle that, and then I also told him, and also if it comes around here, you're gonna die. She's gonna fucking die. I'm not gonna really die. Like, I'll be okay with the younger people.
Wow.
He's old, and I'm like, they're gonna send you to the hospital alone. What are you gonna do, man?
This sounds like Amish. This doesn't sound like you're trying to like make him sure that he's okay and like check on his mental health. This sounds like elder abuse. You're literally going, you're gonna die, and I'm gonna be fine, baby, and I'm just gonna be riding through the lightning.
I just said, hey, man, just chill with the. I know you're getting antsy because they don't have any mental health outlets the way we do. They don't. He's chewing tobacco too. This is another issue, man. They won't smoke weed. God damn it.
Oh, that's nasty. I don't want that in the house. I don't want that in the house.
They won't smoke weed. I know. And my mom, that's what did it for my mom. Because some other uncle told on him to us that he left the house to buy the tobacco somewhere. So he's been running around trying to get tobacco. So that was what my mom needed.
Another uncle? Is this a blood uncle, or is this like a Asian culture? He's my uncle, but he's really like a family friend.
Asian culture. He's my uncle, but he's really a family friend. So another family friend.
Oh, he's not even blood? No. There's this guy in the house.
Doesn't matter. Hey, the Patel blood runs deep. And this guy basically said, hey, man, he's been out buying tobacco. So that's what my mom needed to be like, hey, man, not letting you in. You're running around buying tobacco. I'm sorry. Love ya. I'm gonna call him
his
tomorrow.
wife? What's she up to?
She was like, "Can you talk to him? He keeps leaving the house." So she was on our side too. Yeah, she was on our side too. She's just like, he won't stop. He won't stay inside. And then I got to come around with him because he can't. You know what I mean? Like but we're, you're seeing a real
he's all cooped up.
He's all cooped up. He's getting the kooky over there. So I got to give him a call and be like, hey, man.
He's getting the kooky kabuki, as we like to say.
He's getting the Corona kooks, dude. The Corona kooks.
The kooky kabuki.
Kooky kabuki. And this is where we need to get immigrants smoking weed. They got to start. We need an immigrant smoking weed program because he's chewing tobacco. My other cousin's an alcoholic.
That would honestly be like the most stereotypical Canadian program you could have.
Like, stereotypical? That would be the best Canadian program. That's not stereotypical. That's like how great Canada is, that these people come, because he comes, and when he came from India, I remember he came and lived in our house for a while.
Yeah.
And when he came from India, he was like, it's like, I mean, the Canadian, the facilities. He would keep saying the facilities. Like, he would see like a left turn signal, and he'd be like, oh, the facilities. Like, just everything. He's like, wow, you guys pay tax. And then they spend it on shit. He loved it when he came, and I forgot why I brought that up. But anyway.
Well, no, that's a beautiful story.
That is a beautiful story. He came
now you want to experience the country on indica.
True. I want now the weed, because he always loved these Canadian government programs that were like, well, we're here to welcome you. And every time he did one of those welcoming you to the country, every time he did one, he'd be like, man, in India we would never welcome you. We'd treat you like shit if you were from here. Like, they're letting me in and they're letting me do all this. What? The facilities, Amish. The facility. Like, he's like, they're treating me like a fully equal person. The facilities. And I'm like, yeah, you're part of the labor force. You're going to pay taxes into it. It's fine. Let's teach him weed now, though. I think that's the next. Because he won't listen to it from me. They won't listen if I tell them. They'll keep chewing tobacco and being fucking alcoholics. But if the Canadian government says, hey.
If Trudeau says, listen, buddy.
Trudeau needs to say, and this is where I'd like to take a moment to say, hey guys, if you go to buttonmail.com and use my promo code Amish Flower, they will deliver to your house. And I've been making money, and CBD pills are on the way, by the way, Drew. CBD pills are coming. Very excited about that. And I just killed the mood with Drew. But anyway, let's move on, dude. I mean, your neighbor passed away. Sorry to hear that, man. You want to talk about it?
Yeah, it's sad. No.
Did you know him your whole life?
Yeah, I knew him for a long time. He was like walking out of his house, and he fell and hit his head and had to get stitches a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
And he picked it up at the hospital.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
My mom's going to get a blood test tomorrow. I'm going to tell her, like, just stop the blood test for now, right? Or no?
Maybe it's not a bad idea. I mean, if she needs the blood test, though.
It's for old cancer stuff. Like, it's for old checkups on her. She had cancer twice, so they got to just constantly check to make sure.
You don't have to go to a hospital to get a blood test, though, right? Like, could she not be going to like a health?
Yeah, she's just going to go to the blood checker guy. It's like,
I think that's fine.
Actually, we know the owner of it. I think he's a Patel. It's like Life Labs or something. I think it's owned by a Patel.
I know Life Labs. Well, there's a bunch of Life Labs. But I mean,
I think this guy owns it.
Let's get into the news of the day.
Let's get into the news of the day. Right-wing nationalism is not working out so well, is it? Your right-wing
Why do you say that?
Your fascist government's rising to the top. Because you know what? It's in Brazil. They're screwing it up. Our first story. Brazil, I can't believe the prime minister, man. He's out there. He's like, yeah, protest it. The quarantine. There's people in Brazil protesting the quarantine, and the Brazilian prime minister, who is like a super right-wing nationalist, is basically pulling a Trump, where he's like, yeah, man, get out there, keep working, fuck it, man, don't let this corona hold you down. He's with them. I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's not working.
Well, Bolsonaro, it depends. I mean, listen, this is another thing where it's like you make your own narrative, right? Like for Bolsonaro and his people, it's working. But for everyone else who's like dying from coronavirus and it's not working. I don't know. I was going to try to add something on top of it. Like I was trying to build on that point.
Yeah.
Like everyone else is dying from coronavirus and not having a good time. It's not worth it. No. But like, it's pretty stark, isn't it?
It's overall, well, it's like Donald Trump, because he's in America, he goes out, like, it is the first instinct of these right-wing nationalist fucking hicks to say, fuck you, government, my freedom. It's just like here in Ontario, we got these protesters. Even Doug Ford in Ontario has the sense to be like, hey, fuck off then. But they have these signs up that are like, freedom is an essential service. I need freedom. the protesters, freedom is the essential service. Don't hold back my freedom.
Listen, who's loving the core? I'm not loving the core.
No one loves it. We do it.
I'm not in love with the core, but I'll do the core.
Gotta do it.
You know?
Gotta do it. I sent my uncle home, dude. I said, get your ass home, dude.
He's not blood. He's not blood. I understand.
No. He is blood. He's my mom's brother, dude. We sent his ass home.
I thought you said this. I thought you said I asked. I said,
no, the guy who ratted him out. No. This is the guy who ratted him out is a non-blood.
Oh, it's your mom's brother?
Yeah, my mom's bro, dude. We had to be like, hey,
oh,
bro.
You should have let him in then. I misunderstood the context.
No. We hung out with him. We did it outside. It was a hot day. We did an outside hangout, and then we're just like, okay, like, let's think about this. Let's talk about this. Okay, there's no reason to move in and move out. No more changing houses. His aunt actually set him up for what is it called? An intervention. My aunt set him up for an intervention. She brought him so that we could all be like,
what? I don't leave the house intervention?
Yep. Because he's going and fucking doing all this shit, and my aunt's sitting at home going, where have you been all day? Like, you've been gone for 6 hours. What the fuck are you doing? If you're with someone, dude,
What if he was like, I was just testing out all the water fountains. I was going around town trying water fountains. What?
He's been, and then he got ratted out that he's been out there searching for tobacco. He wants tobacco, dude. So we did an intervention.
Chewing is better than smoking. Listen, it's better than smoking it.
It's still fucked up. But anyway, I just want to say these right-wing maniacs over here that want to protest, that want to still go to work, and I'm calling them right-wing because it does feel like a little bit part of that nationalist movement. I mean, Doug Ford's against it, so at least there's that. Doug Ford didn't support it, but over there, and this is what I was going to say, is that this right-wing nationalism, this is what you get. Irrational thinking. This guy's out of control. He's wild. These jocks. See, this is where
you're talking about Bolsonaro right now.
Bolsonaro and Trump. They're both. They're jocks. They're out of control. They're wild. And this is the kind of shit.
Jocks? Trump's not really a jock. Trump's not an athletic dude.
He's not an athletic dude, but he lives life like a jock. He talks like he's competitive. He wants to fight. He wants to win. And this is the kind of thinking they have. Whereas if you look at in the East, those nationalists, they're doing their homework. That's all I'm saying. Those nationalists,
elaborate. Please
they're terrible
elaborate.
people.
Oh,
they're
God,
terrible people too.
Mean?
They're terrible.
Please
Look,
elaborate.
man, they're on top of their coronas. They're on top of their coronas, and they're on top of their economics. I'm talking about Xi Jinping and Modi. Look, they're on top of their shit. It's not great. They're doing their homework. They have to be like.
Are they?
They are on top of their economics for sure. It's all like extracurricular. It's like over there.
Bolsonaro's trying to be on top of his economics. Bolsonaro wants everything open because he's afraid the economy in Brazil's already been like taking a dip.
I think in this regard,
coronavirus is going to be even worse.
I think in this regard, he's being very irrational. He's not doing his homework on it. Trump's first instinct was the same too. It was just like, who cares about this? We'll be back to work in a couple of weeks. They have this mentality of like, keep the economy going, whatever. They want to, but I think in the East, they're doing it right. They're doing their homework. They're like opening it correctly. Like India's got it locked down pretty good with their corona. India's response to corona is better than America's. It's insane. I never thought I'd say that. Even China, they caused it, sure, but they've gotten it under control now. Better than the Americans.
Have they got it under control? I feel like nobody really trusts. I mean, people over here, I don't think people really trust what China's putting out necessarily. I think the consensus is split on whether China has just been lying this whole time or if they've actually put a tamp on corona outbreak.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of conspiracy theories that say that they just caused it. There's a lot of conspiracy theories saying that they just caused it, and they're saying fuck. They're just being flagrant about it. They caused it, and they're spreading it to everyone else. I would say, yeah. Look, everyone lies about their numbers. I mean, everyone definitely lied about their numbers. But when people are looking into it, it looks like China is going to be back to operational level a lot quicker than the Americans. And this is after all the lies come out of China. It's like they lied about it because everyone lies about it. But at the end of the day, they're moving forward. And this goes with the coronavirus response, but in general, they seem to be moving. You know, it even comes down to like they seem to be moving more rationally and more like just doing their work versus in the West. I feel like these guys are with Trump and with Bolsonaro. It's too like jockey. It's too flashy. There's no modesty and there's no like rationality to how they're working. They're just kind of like blustering. They're doing whatever they want.
I don't really understand what you're saying though, because you're saying it's like two styles of authoritarianism and there's one you prefer. You're saying you prefer the Asian style of authoritarianism?
I'm not saying I prefer it. I'm saying it is what it is, and they're going to win like this. Because while the West authoritarianism is like it's tacky too. It's like about Trump is going around with like a model as his wife, and he's like, I'm banging this model. In the East, it's just good. Modi, no, he's like not even married anymore. It's just about like they're very tight.
That's his own problems, though. That's his own problems. Modi needs to work on himself. But I'll tell you this.
Think so? You think he needs to work on himself? I mean, he's pretty. I don't know. I don't trust the celibate. I never trust the celibate.
You're prime minister. And nobody wants to bag you. Okay. Okay.
Look, man. I never trust a celibate. Okay. He's either gay or he's banging a bunch of 20-year-old hookers. Either way, it's not out in the open bragging about it.
First of all, you can be married and do that. You can be married and do both of those things too. So There's
Sure,
something going on.
whatever he's doing, it's just not like he's on top of his shit. It's like compartmentalized, and when he goes to run the country, he can put forward this very professional, very stern face. Whereas with Bolsonaro and Trump, it's a little cowboy. They're a little bit Wild West. They're like still trying to bang people, like have sex with people. They're still trying to like jockey and look tough and stuff like that. And it's really going to screw up their authoritarianism because they're just not going to be able to compete with the
I don't know. Well, it's also the Supreme Court and the branches of governments in those countries are going to fuck up the authoritarianism. I mean, the only real
even in America's
authoritarian.
Supreme Court, they have two like, I mean, Brett Kavanaugh is almost like a Clarence Thomas Part 2. Like when you look at even their Supreme Court guys, they got these cowboys, they got these jocks in there, and it's taking their country in that direction. But I feel like in the East, they're very like, they have a focus. It's less on that.
I don't mean, but I mean in terms of the institutions. What I'm saying is the fact that you have different branches of government. Like the Supreme Court in Brazil is like preventing Bolsonaro from letting him have free reign over ending the lockdowns, and they're upholding the will and the rights of different governors and mayors across Brazil.
And the longer he stays in, the more he'll take it apart, the way Trump is doing, the way the right wing in America did. I mean, Trump basically took out Obama's guy and put in Brett Kavanaugh. Bolsonaro, over time, whoever stood up against him, thank God bless them for doing that. Going forward, he's going to get rid of those people, and he's going to put in fucking psychos like him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about, like, the Supreme Court is based off of people sitting on the court, and they're appointed by, previous and past administrations, and people retire. I hear what you mean, but the institution,
it's a political appointment. They can pretend all day that it's not political.
It is a political appointment,
so
but
political.
What I'm saying is that the Supreme Court endures, whereas in China you don't have the Supreme Court. You know what I mean? That's the difference. In India, it's a democracy. In Brazil, it's a democracy. In the States, it's a democracy.
Yeah.
Then the Brazilian democracy and the Indian democracy might be being tested a bit right now.
Does that mean they all have Supreme Courts?
The American.
You mean so does that mean they all have Supreme Courts?
I imagine India. I know Brazil and America do. I imagine India has one as well. Yeah.
I'm sure they do. I mean, the way it looks right now,
but I'm just saying more in terms of the branches of government, right? So they're not actually, the democracies can be tested, but they're not actually authoritarian states. Whereas China, there is no voting, there is no, consensus with the general population. It's the Communist Party makes decisions, and they go forward according to their own things. So I don't know. I hear what you're saying, kind of, but. The thing I took away from the Brazil article more so was how you're having such we kind of talked about this with Sandra. Bolsonaro's support is going to be eroded by all of these moves he's making that do not address the crisis writ large and just kind of appeal to a base. And I'm kind of wondering, like, as an analogous to Trump, if Trump is doing the same thing, telling people to liberate Michigan, liberate Minnesota, liberate Virginia, Bolsonaro going out in the streets. I mean, it's crazy. He's just going out in the streets, shaking people's hands.
Yeah, like, he's wild,
doing the bizou, just double cheek, kiss.
He's doing double cheek. He's double cheeking.
Because here's my theory. They said
They
said that he had it. Remember, they said that he had it, and then they pulled it back, and then they pulled it back, and he was like,
and they pulled it back because he was like, it was making him look like a bitch, though.
Well, I think Glenn Greenwald said that he's pretty sure Bolsonaro did have it.
Yeah, I know, and Bolsonaro basically pulled back, like him and his son. You were saying last episode that they were basically like, hey, we're not soft. Don't tell people that we have corona.
Well, his son told Fox News, and then Bolsonaro wanted that recounted, right?
Yeah, he wanted that recounted.
But here's my theory. Okay. Here's my theory that Bolsonaro actually got it, and then he's immune. So now he's going out being like, it's not a real thing, which I think is even more sociopathic and crazy. Imagine actually have gotten the coronavirus and then get tested for the antibodies and then go out in the streets and be like, it's not real, but you're only doing that because you're good.
Yeah,
so you can play all your political games all you want.
Yeah, but it does show and this is again a continuing theme. This is how Corona is a backdoor to communism, because it's going to show us. And the next article that you sent me about Exxon, he mentions this specifically, how this coronavirus, it's testing capitalism in a way that it's exposing all of its faults and it's exposing all of its kind of weaknesses. And one of the weaknesses of it is that you have the president of the United States, and big senators in America going on Fox News. You have Bolsonaro doing this. Basically, they're so addicted to their capitalism. They're so addicted to their goddamn almighty dollar economy that they're like, fuck it if you get corona. Just take the corona. Don't let the economy die. We're going to ruin like all this shit of like, we're going to ruin a generation. It's because, yeah, your whole life is your economy. Maybe it's time that Mother Earth is saying, I'm on strike. Fuck your economy. And we're going back to basics, and you're just going to have to be happy talking to your family and shit like that, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's possible. I don't really get what you're saying, but more so it's like,
I'm saying, Drew, I've been saying it for weeks. Corona is a backdoor to communism. It's exposing the faults in the capitalist system that we're a part of.
Well, I don't even know if it's going to be listen, I think what's going to happen is like, you're going to see what the economy can be pushed to. You're going to see what like the Federal Reserve and like the Bank of Canada and like all the central banks of countries are able of doing, right? You know there's this woman, Stephanie Kelton. She was an economic advisor to Bernie Sanders, and she's proponent of the modern monetary theory.
Yeah.
Which is pretty much saying that the government could be spending more than it is currently, right? Without causing inflation. There could be more money being pumped into the economy than currently is.
Yes.
And we're sitting on it. And you start viewing it as a resource and all that stuff. So
yeah.
The fact that that all these countries are doing stimuluses and, you know, putting cash out there for people to use, especially a country like the United States where it's the reserve currency. I was just listening to a thing with Mark Cuban the other day, and he was saying, you know, the US dollar's price is going up because outside of the United States, it's really hard to get your hands on US dollars right now. And that's the global reserve currency. So anytime that the shit hits the fan, people want dollars.
Yeah.
So that's why you're seeing such a strong dollar right now, despite everything. So when people like make the argument that, oh, it went off the gold standard, like what is the gold standard, right? It's backed on a perceived value.
Our belief that gold means
now,
something.
Well, yeah, but it's like there's a finite amount of gold in the world, so this is valuable. But the thing is,
it keeps it measurable at least.
The perceived value of the US dollar is there. It's not, people don't look at it and are like, there's nothing backing this, you know? The accessibility of goods is what's backing it essentially. So I don't know if
that's where the question
going to
becomes...
die. I don't think capitalism is going to die, but I think that a lot of reforms are going to come into play.
Yeah,
The Intercept had a good article come out on May Day, actually, talking about a lot of lobbying firms, a lot of anti-union lobbying firms in the States are sending out messages to companies saying, hey, watch out, because this could be like a bastion for organizing right now. Like there could be a really big labor revolt as a result of everyone putting their like lives on the line for coronavirus.
Wow.
Or being out of work, or losing their job,
yeah.
or feeling like the bailouts are, you know, again, all the money's going to corporations.
All the money's going to corporations,
and,
man.
You know, saving corporations that should maybe not be saved.
Yeah.
And the average person is going to, you know, fall flat. So a lot of interesting things to, and I don't mean that to like trivialize it. I'm just saying there's a lot of things like that are currently in development that we'll see how it shakes out. And the Brazil thing is crazy just because it's almost like the willful ignorance. I just don't know what Bolsonaro's plan would be with something like that. Like the willful ignorance to just like not give out, you know, they're not even giving out like accurate tests. They're giving out tests that other countries, like countries that are producing them are like, oh, these are faulty tests. And then Brazil's taking them and then just like disseminating them. Like you're handing out junk product to test for the virus.
I think he's a good sense of like what Trump would do if Trump didn't have people around him being like, you're not allowed to do that. In Brazil, he's getting away with it because he doesn't have, it's not as strict, it seems like, but at least Supreme
Trump
Court
does,
where
Trump
it matters.
does what he does. Trump does what he does.
He has
too.
to pull back on all this shit, dude. He was saying this shit too. I'm going to go out. I'm going to open the economy. And then he had to pull back on it and be like, okay, fine. These guys are saying I'm not allowed. Or he's putting out his own tears.
They're estimating that the outbreak in Brazil, they're estimating the outbreak in Brazil is worse than it is in the States. They're saying that there's probably more people with COVID.
Yeah.
And there's just not the infrastructure to test. Similar, like America, the reason why we know about America so much is they have that infrastructure. I mean, despite it not being at the level that people want it to be,
right.
they still
But
have it more than other countries.
I'm just talking about Bolsonaro as a leader, as a right-wing nationalist. He's a good symbol. He's a good show of like what Trump would have to do, would be doing if he didn't have people saying, hey, you got to take it easy. Like, don't do that. Like, Fauci's had to pull him back a couple of times. And I think Bolsonaro just doesn't have to listen to that shit. He can go a little further than Trump because, he doesn't give a shit. I don't know. He's saying fuck it. Or maybe he just has a better control. He's too much in control.
I mean, he fired his health minister. He's been having comments by, like, the head of the military that he even put into place to be like, no, we got to start respecting this coronavirus thing a little bit more than we are.
Yeah.
Right?
So
there's internal dispute. But the thing is, when he fires the health minister, he puts in a yes guy, a yes man who's just going to go along with whatever his line of reasoning is.
And I don't know how Fauci is able to avoid that with Trump. I feel like Trump wanted to do that at some point, and maybe he couldn't. Maybe he knew it would look bad. Maybe he already fired too many other people.
I mean, the thing is, Fauci isn't – so Trump does have a surgeon general, right? And that guy is pretty much a yes man. He's been going on Fox News saying what he wants. Like, Trump has people who are in his administration who are following his line. Fauci is from a government organization, but it's not in the Trump administration, right? So that's where you get the distinction.
So that's where he's getting his pushback, and that's the best thing for him too, because he probably would be, and it's just because of like a difference in how the governments are run or whatever, for whatever reason, basically he's not able to get rid of Fauci. So I think he pulled back his fuck it, let's just go out and keep. He
could get rid of Fauci, but the thing is that Fauci is not. Fauci's like a little bit more independent than what Bolsonaro was having. Bolsonaro's cabinet was contradicting him.
It might literally be like the guy. It might literally be like Fauci is just nice enough and getting through to Trump maybe better. It could be that. I mean, who knows why? Because he could just be getting through to him and saying like, "Hey, man, this could really kill you. Like, you might die." Whereas with Bolsonaro, that guy couldn't convince him, so he's like, "All right, get the fuck out of here. I'm going to put another guy in." I don't know exactly.
It wasn't even you couldn't convince me. It was that Bolsonaro's acting like it doesn't exist. They said people are dying, and Bolsonaro says, "Well, what do you want me to do about it?" That was his response.
I know, and I'm saying Trump was doing that too, but he's been pulled back, and Bolsonaro will probably be pulled back too. They're working on him. Everyone's working on these guys because they're being cowboys about it. And the first instinct of a lot of people, it's the same people holding these signs up saying freedom is an essential service. It's like their first instinct is to be like, fuck it. We're going to go out there. We're going to just keep this economy going. And I just think Trump had people there to talk him down better. I think Fauci might have been better at that. Whereas Bolsonaro, it's going to be.
I don't know. I don't agree with you because I don't think Trump has been talked down by Fauci. Trump's still talking wild shit.
Yeah, he does talk wild shit, but he's been pulled back. He's not doing as much as Bolsonaro. If it was up to him, he'd do as much. So I don't know if it's Fauci pulling him back or who's pulling him back, but Trump has definitely pulled back his let's just get the economy started sentiment.
Well, it'd also be interesting to know. I mean, we're saying this as like Anglophones and like people who consume American media, right? So we can see all the different sides and kind of dissect it a bit better.
Yeah,
with our information on Brazil, but I'm just gonna stop for a sec.
He's been pulled back. I don't know why you're arguing with me on this, but keep continuing.
No, let me finish my point.
I don't know why you're doing this big one. Yep. Go ahead. Yeah.
That's the show. We argue.
We argue. I know. You have to make up an argument now, so it's fine. But whatever. Go on.
It's not to make up an argument, but I'm saying we don't like. We're not in the Brazilian like Portuguese media. You know what I mean? We don't read like Sao Paulo Nightly, and we don't.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going on this one podcast, and it sounds very similar to Trump, but Trump was
exactly. But I'm just saying we have to be cognizant of the fact that we're getting like that interpretation, which is somewhat of a biased interpretation of it, because who are they tapping in Brazil? Whatever the Fox News of Brazil is, right, is probably providing a mouthpiece for Bolsonaro that it's just like Trump, right?
It's probably, I mean, it sounds like they both have the same mentality, and it's just in the details of it, it's working out differently. Like, I don't know how, I mean, I've seen Trump get pulled back. I don't know if it's Fauci convincing him. I don't know if it's another legal person being like, you're legally not allowed to do this, or whatever it is. But they're both, it seems like, doing the same thing, and they just have different bureaucratic things against them that they have to go up against, and it's playing out differently. But they have a very similar mentality, I feel like, and it's and this is what I was saying at the beginning, is one thing, they don't have that strict discipline of your Asian dictators who are just not being flagrant about it. They're very calm, they're very civil. I mean, Xi Jinping acts like he doesn't even want to run the place. He acts like I gotta do it. It's I have to do it. It's this book Xi Jinping thought says I got to do it. So
like
I have
a reluctant father.
He's like a reluctant father. Like, you're all. Have you seen the drills? The drills are incredible. Of him, he's just like with a checkboard driving by all the military guys, and he's like, okay, are you guys like? He's just he doesn't want to do it. Once a year he does this military drill. He's like, okay, cavalry, is everyone here? And then they're just like, yes, Xi Jinping, we love you, we are here. Like, they're screaming for him, but he just doesn't.
And he could care less.
He could care. He's acting like, I'm doing my karmas. This has been handed to me. I must do it.
Right.
Whereas these American ones, they're too blustering. They're too cowboyish. They're too out there on their own. And like, they're wild, man, and they're unstable. And I think we're going to see them. I mean, to me, the Brazilian.
This is going to result in a Trump being unelected. Is that what you mean? Trump's not going to get reelected? And
I'm talking about the fall of Western civilization, brother. I'm talking about this is how the West will fall. They're decadent. They're sloppy. They're all over the place. They don't know how to. I mean, this Supreme Court yesterday, day before, in the same podcast you sent me, Thomas Clarence started doing.
Clarence Thomas.
Clarence Thomas. He's in it too, but they had to teleconference their first court thing, and it just felt kind of like this empire is dying. It's over. Everyone's like on an equal, everyone's like they're, and then we should probably just get into the next article that you brought up, actually, because the next Exxon article that you told me, that you sent me, he's saying the same thing, where he's basically saying that COVID is bringing up all of these mistakes in their businesses. It's showing the holes in this capitalist system that is relying on oil. And you have a company like Exxon who, in light of this, is basically, it looks like they're going to go bankrupt. What do you think of this?
It's not that they're going to go bankrupt necessarily, but it's more that they've been, and it was this is a Bloomberg article that we read about the fall of Exxon.
Yeah.
And how its stock price has been doing poorly.
Very
and
critical.
That it was kind of over leveraged prior to COVID-19.
Yeah.
And then now with all the now with everything, with the oil prices being like at historic lows,
yeah,
it's not looking good for them. It's not looking good for them going forward, and just risky ventures and not trying to invest in green energy.
Yeah, and one of my favorite lines from the article is, once the undisputed king of Wall Street, Exxon today is worth less than Home Depot Incorporated. That's gotta hurt to Home Depot too. What a diss.
Well, worth less than Home Depot. Well, it's worth less than Home Depot. Granted that like company. the profits of Home Depot are nowhere near what the profits are of Exxon.
Yeah, and still their stock price is low. They're fucking sloppy. I mean, I think the other line was very interesting that he wrote. He basically said Exxon missed an adventure in the oil sands of Canada, swallowed billions of dollars this guy is describing basically the Albertan oil industry as he basically said it's swallowed billions of dollars with little to show for it. I mean, he's saying this about Alberta's oil sands, that it swallowed billions of dollars with little to show for it. And I don't know, it's hard to tell exactly what he's saying. Well, because
to get money out of the oil sands, it's very cost intensive, right? Like the actual process of refining the tar sands.
It's insane. Anyone who thinks that's a good idea, you're wild.
Well, the issue with it was that in order to actually like extract the oil, oil needs to be trading at a certain amount for it to be profitable. Once the oil prices have started to tank, right, and now
It's
they're
not
getting
worth
lower
it.
and lower, it's not even worth it. It's not
It's
even worth it to refine that, right? That's
you
not
got,
cost effective.
and I remember Big J Okerson did the best joke about this. I think I just heard him do it in a podcast, but he was talking about how he watched an anti-fracking documentary and he was
Yeah,
like, this has to stop. And then he saw an anti-fracking documentary and then he was
yeah,
like, oh, maybe we're just being stupid and irrational. But when I look into the issue, when you just like,
right.
and look, I know this is a bit of a bro science approach to this, but just look at what fracking is. Just look it up as a citizen. Just look up what it is. And you should just have a red flag saying, this is not going to work. It's wild, man. They are basically digging into the earth, breaking apart oil, flooding it with chemicals. So they flood the earth with chemicals,
Yeah.
pull all of that out, and then refine the oil. It's as soon as someone says it, it's like, why would someone invest in this business? It's
Because
insane.
there's a lot of money to be made.
Yeah,
But
but only
fracking's on the ropes too.
if they
Fracking's
are
on the ropes too now
given
that
money.
that oil prices have gone down. The thing is,
Yeah.
a lot of these things, it's not worthwhile. The capital intensiveness that it costs, it's not worthwhile. So fracking is another example
And again,
where that industry's hurting,
another
and that might
example
hurt
of
Trump. Actually,
Corona.
that might hurt Trump because a lot of swing states
Mhm.
are looking at the new energy boom that America's been having as being a strong economic stabilizer and something to help with his reelection. So
Yeah, and Exxon still hasn't been able to make money off of it, so they need to just go as a company. I feel like, I mean, and the guy who wrote the article was saying that Woods went to one of his investor meetings. He did like an investor meeting. He was like, "Good morning, everyone," and nobody clapped for him.
yeah.
I guess because when they are.
Well, that was also on the eve of coronavirus, right? It was like early March.
It
when that
was,
happened.
but I remember maybe a month, maybe like a week before Corona started, I went to, because you know how I like to just go out alone, and sometimes I'll just go to a bar and work by myself. So I was working
Yeah.
at Horseshoe Tavern, which is an incredible spot. In the back of Horseshoe Tavern on this is Queen Street West, they had like the mining association guys doing their speeches of like, buy my mine stocks.
Right.
We just bought 400 kilometers of gold mines in Guatemala. They're ready to work. Give me your money, man. You're going to love this investment. They're all like selling their stupid stocks or whatever. But they are a bunch of jocks in the sense that they're there to make money. They're there to compete. They're kind of outselling each other, but they're all like kind of friendly too. But this guy Woods, yeah, like if your stock prices are down, I can just see if it's similar to that mining culture, if like your stock price is down and you're going up on the defensive, like, no, but it's not our fault. It's because of Corona. We're going to come back. I think his investors are just like, fuck you, dude. Where's my money?
I mean, this could be great though for the planet if this is kind of like signaling the end of oil in a sense. If it's looking at these companies,
Corona is
like,
the back door to communism. I'll say it over and over again, Drew. I don't care if you don't get it. Are you getting it? Corona, back door to communism.
Okay, but more.
It's going to show the holes. This guy even said in his article that Corona is showing like these holes these financial holes in our business. That like, yeah, maybe this wasn't really that profitable. It is like a half.
Well, it
market.
It was wholly profitable. Oil has been one of the most profitable things.
Not shale, dude. Shale has been relying on, and oil too. They've been relying on government subsidies. They don't pay their taxes half the time, and now these guys are in debt.
These corporations,
so maybe
Exxon's one of the most successful companies in the history of the world.
Also, they have to, because they're colonizers, dude. They're owned by a colonizer.
Yes. Oh
they
my
require
God,
the U.S. government to go and conquer a place. So what do you mean it's been profitable? This is what I'm talking about. Are you getting it? The Corona is showing us holes in the economic system. Do you get it?
I'm trying to finish a sentence here. I can't finish a sentence tonight.
Let's hear it.
You're killing me.
Let's hear it.
I'm saying oil. They're saying the peak profitability of oil. They're looking at it reaching its climax in 2040, and other analysts on Wall Street are saying it's going to be 2030. All right. They're saying that could be even a decade before, and that's when renewables are really going to start hitting.
Yeah.
All right. Sure. However they made the money, I'm not trying to argue that point. They've made their money. I don't care if the governments have been overthrown and they've gotten subsidies to do it. Sure, that's happened. I'm not saying it didn't. I'm not saying it did. It's sure. That's one way to do it.
Has it ever been profitable? That's like a real question that we got to start asking ourselves.
100% it's been profitable. 100%.
Okay. So you're saying it's profitable. Why then do they have to put in a Saudi government? I'm talking about, is it profitable when Iran tried to get a democratically elected person to take back their oil to give to their people? Yeah. Why then do they have to assassinate that person and back people like the Saudis who will enslave their people if it's ever been profitable? Why is that necessary?
Profitable and like
so you're saying
moral.
It's profitable.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's moral. I'm saying it's
fine.
profitable.
So you're saying it's profitable as long as there's slaves and there's as long as the people that are running that country are treating their people.
That's
like
how most things are profitable. Of course. What do you mean? That's how most works.
So basically, you're the cowboy capitalist who's like, who gives a shit? I'm saying, according to real, like, it's never been profitable.
No, I'm not saying who gives a shit. I'm just looking at it like the facts on the ground. That's all.
Facts on the ground is it's never been profitable. Then, if you're counting,
it's never been necessarily moral. I agree with you. It's never been necessarily a moral or righteous cause to be mining for oil and killing democratically elected heads of state in order to enrich yourself. I'm not agreeing with that morally. No. But is it profitable to do that? Kind of, yeah. It's kind of been profitable for them.
Right. To do that. So then, what we're basically debating right now is the difference between profitable. I'm saying, if you're not going to count the expenses that you've created, you've never been profitable. And you're basically saying, like, fuck it, it's profitable because they cheated.
No, I agree with you. If you're not going to count the
environmental
human expenses and the environmental expenses, then yes. 100%.
When was it ever profitable? And
this
is what Corona is showing us.
In terms of like economical advantages and benefits, though.
Yes, and I think that's the language. I think that's the language we have to talk in. Is like, I think there's a lot of right-wing people who have a belief in capitalism, that it's this almighty thing, it'll work forever, and it's been working, and this is the only system that we can live with. But really, it's like
I'm of the opinion, though, that you can't change those people's minds by appealing to their morality necessarily.
Yeah, that's why I'm strictly saying go for bottom line. I think it's a bottom line argument.
And
it's never been profitable.
Well, it has been profitable. It has. You're appealing to the morality and saying it's not been profitable.
Only if you murder other people. I mean, I think a lot of people are just unaware of it too, right? Like, a lot of us here in the West, we buy our clothes from China. We don't know. We're born into it. We don't know that, okay, like, part of this system, I'm in a system that requires those people to be slaves. I wasn't born knowing that. I had to grow up and be told. And now that I know, it's like, oh, okay, well, then I guess it's not profitable. I think people are just... I mean,
okay. I'm hung up on your term of profitability, though, because it's not. What do you mean by profitability? It's not ethical. It's not moral. But you have to, like, it is economically profitable. It is
sure. It's economically profitable. But let's just be clear that we're over here in the West where people have freedom. So we assume that maybe other people do because we grew up here. So we don't realize that if you take into account that you're buying it from someone who's been enslaved, it's not profitable. That's what I'm saying. And this is what Corona's forcing us to do, is to look at the complete picture and say, has this ever been profitable, quote unquote?
Right. So I think that
we're going to start counting the cost.
The argument I'm hearing coming from you then is, like, when people look, instead of like a GDP, you look at like a global happiness index. You know what I mean? Like, there's
I think we should start.
I forget which country is doing that, but there's countries that they monitor the wealth of a nation.
By the happiness.
But that's another way of looking at the success, right? I hear what you're saying in terms of success. Like, it's not a successful venture if everyone's suffering and if everyone is, getting a worse off planet because of, investments in oil, right? If it's going to destroy the world, if it's going to make places uninhabitable, if it's going to kill our wildlife, if it's going to do this, that, and the third, it's not morally right and it's not advantageous. But I'm saying, if you want to actually convince a Rex Tillerson or someone working at ExxonMobil that it's not profitable, they do not give a shit. You need to show them the numbers, right? You need to show them the numbers, financials that will impart their morality, because they're not going to care if they die. Listen, there's an attitude.
They'll care if
it's like a death call. No, they won't. It's like a death call attitude.
Well, if people care enough to stop buying the product, then they'll care. That's the only way to get to them. Because at the
people
end of the
care
day,
enough to stop buying oil. Yeah, but you need to have. There needs to be a strong alternative, and I bet you, if once like renewables come online in a big way,
mm-hmm.
and it's more cost effective for someone to do that than to go on with oil. Of course,
that's what it's going to do, and
of course
it's going to force us to look for those things. But I do think the first step in that is just to say, like, within the rules of capitalism, pay for your expenses. I mean, I don't know if I don't think I'm not making a moral argument. I'm making a purely capitalistic argument that, like, you believe in capitalism, so put your money where your mouth is and make this profitable without enslaving people, without manipulating the market, without doing all this other stuff that you have to do. And then if you can still find a way to make fracking profitable, then fine, I'll agree that it's profitable. But if this is the only way that you can do it, like, just follow your own rules and find an alternative. Because forcing us to do that, I think, is the only way. Yeah, that's good. It's going to go to green, basically. And that's kind of what's happening. If you look at the market,
right, but that's like regulation then. So you want like stronger, tighter government regulations on how everything's done, like how supply chains are taken into account, of working standards for people, environmental standards for people, right?
Mm-hmm. But it starts with us though, as people. I think we need to just be aware of it and just be like, okay, well, this is not
for sure.
It's a tough decision.
It starts with you as a consumer and you as a voter, and exercising, both of those. I don't know, facts of humanity, I would say, or facts of life in Western countries.
Yeah.
But again, that's really hard to do because apathy is a very contagious.
It is, yeah.
Thing, and I don't know. I really do think that it needs to come on from high. A lot of this shit needs to come on from high to see real change.
But the only way it really comes from on high is, again, if it really is like just people have to change. Because whether it's the corporation not seeing as much profit because people don't want to buy their shit, or it's a government getting the votes, passing a law that makes it more strict, it has to start with the people. And most people just are not educated on it and don't care, I guess.
Can I ask you a question? Can we talk about the people?
Can we talk about the people?
There's a person that there's a person I want to talk about.
Oh, wait, we got to talk about my Asian parents after, but let's do yours first.
There's a person I want to talk about from
Florida?
From your part of town.
Oh, from my part of town.
Yeah. Seems like he might even be a
Hindu nationalist?
Similar demographic to your parents, actually, your Asian parents.
Oh, dude.
Disturbing Islamophobic tweet about call to prayer in Brampton prompts investigation by Peel School Board. Quote, what's next? Separate lanes for camel and goat riders?
Okay.
School council chair tweeted before apologizing.
Hey, school council chair.
What is this?
Hey, school council chair. What I'm seeing is a school council chair that doesn't realize, like, hey, you're not a comedian. Can you just stick to your fucking shit? Why is he putting a joke on it? I hate when people put jokes on shit. Just do your job, man. You're a student council. Make your argument for why this is a bad idea if you think it's a bad idea. Why is he doing like a Russell Peters bit at the end of it? I think that's
so there's this guy.
I'm offended as a supporter of the Muslim community, but I'm also offended as a comedian.
His name is Ravi Huda.
Huda? Could be Punjabi.
H-O-O-D-A. What do you make of that name?
I don't think it's Gujarati, but I'm going to look it up. Look at
this. He goes, I don't think it's Gujarati. So we're breaking it down by state? Is that what we're doing now? We're breaking it down by Indian states? There's like, that sounds like a Punjab kind of thing. I don't know. I'm a Gujarat.
Huda is a surname of a Jat people primarily found in Haryana, Rajasthan, and Western UP in India. No, they're basically Punjabi. Notable people bearing the name Huda include Ashish Huda. Okay, Huda is a Jat. He's a Jat. And the Jats have been fighting the Muslims for,
So here's the full quote.
Hundreds of years. And they have
Can I give you the full quote?
Give me the full quote.
He says, what's next? Separate lanes for camels and goat riders, allowing slaughter of animals at homes in names of sacrifice. Bylaw requiring all women to cover themselves from head to toe in tents to appease the peace fools for votes.
Wow, the peace fools.
The peace. He spells peace like a piece of cake. He spells it like that. I don't know what he means.
The
I don't.
peacefuls.
It's a tweet. He could have been a typo. You know what? You're heated and you're
Well,
in the moment. There's typos in tweets.
let's
But
start by.
anyway,
But go on, sorry.
it says on his Twitter profile, Huda identifies himself as a quote-unquote professional realtor, immigration consultant, and community volunteer. But according to the Peel District School Board, he was also an executive school council member at the Macville Public School in the city of Bolton. School councils are comprised of parents, staff, and community representatives and advise principals on a range of topics, including codes of behavior, budget priorities, and curriculum delivery. That changed Tuesday morning when the board tweeted that Huda was being removed from his role as council chair and will no longer be allowed to participate on council, quote, in any other capacity. This is not
got
good.
Got fired.
And then Remax also had to say something. Quote, we do not share nor support the views of Mr. Huda. We confirm he has been terminated and is no longer affiliated with Remax, the company tweeted. I feel, you know what, this guy was spicy.
Remax will take a sale. Remax will take. Remax is acting like they give a shit. No, if I'll tell you this right now, if Huda comes back with a hot lead on a sale, Remax is going to take their 2%. I'll guarantee you that right now.
He's also apologized.
Remax.
Here's his apology. That some of my previous tweets have been misinterpreted. So that was, he's saying that might have been misinterpreted and have caused hurt to members of our community. I apologize to those who may have been hurt, and I assure that I will take due care in expressing my views to incorporate better understanding. Vasudev Kutam Bakam. We are one family. Is that in Punjabi that he's written that?
Vasudev. Say that again.
Vasudev Kutum Bakam. Kutum Bakam.
Kutum means family. Vasudev might be God. Kutum, but and what's the last word?
Kutum, and then BKAM, Bakam?
BKAM. I don't know that one. I don't know. I mean, he's judged, man.
Sure.
They have songs that are about they have songs like hard Bhangra songs that are about like a Pakistani came over this way and I fucked his shit up. They're like cowboys, man. They're like American. You know, like a Texan could have a song like that. Not a Texan, sorry. A cowboy could have like something like that. They have songs like Jat Punjabi. They've been fighting Muslims for like 300-400 years. So you gotta, I just saw a great documentary about this, about the rise of nationalism in India, and I'm not justifying it, but I will say.
But are you getting a bit of a Hindu nationalism vibe off of this guy from Brampton?
100%. I mean, he's probably he's probably a Khalistan separatist, actually. If my instincts tell me that.
What's that? That's a whole new thing for me now.
Oh, so you don't know? Okay, so and this is the issue, my brothers. All of my, I'll tell you, and I'll tell all my Hindu nationalists and my Muslim, the whole community, everyone. Yep. The British, when they split India in a way that is going to keep us fighting forever. And it's traumatized people. The memory of it has traumatized people. And it's told them that you have to keep fighting this enemy forever because they did this to us and they did that to us. And there's all these stories going back and forth. Jat and Punjab is on the border of that. And they were actually cut in a way that was very insulting to them during partition. And again, there's a lot of people who think that the British did this on purpose. And whether they did it on purpose or not, I mean, they took over the country with divide and conquer. So the leaving of the country is going to be stained with the same issue. The dividing of that border was very traumatic for the people there. It lasted generations. I just saw a documentary last week where a bunch of Hindu nationalists just ran up on that mosque. Remember the thing we were talking about before, the mosque that they took over?
Yeah.
I saw the footage. I saw the documentary about that, and I saw they had footage of these people running up on the mosque and just taking it over. And they have these generations of this trauma saying that we have to fight these people. Now, if you bring up the British, anything the British did, they go, the British is very cunning, and they're like, they don't mind. They don't care about the British. They just go, British is very cunning. They trick everyone fighting, and they're like, they even know that they did that, and then they still will put that thought aside and say, but we have to kill these Muslims.
What happens when you know that you've been finessed, but you can't stop living in the finesse?
That's what the Hindu nationalist is living in right now. They are convinced.
You can't stop living in the finesse.
Yeah. It's
oh
an
my
issue,
God.
man. It's an issue. The
So
documentary
wait.
I saw, they have all kinds of conspiracy. They have their own conspiracy theories too, that Muslim men are being paid to marry and bring in Hindu girls. And I'm like, you know what? If someone's dumb enough to spend their money on that shit, take it. Hey, take my daughter, you idiots. Who the fuck is spending money on the wedding? These Indian weddings, they're like $100,000. And there's like these conspiracy theories like that where they're like, oh, they're talking people into converting our daughters and shit like that. I think you know.
Are these Indian weddings that are 100K? Are those Hindu weddings or are those Islamic weddings as well? Are both
Hindu and Punjabi? Yeah, they're Gujarati, Punjabi, South Indian too. I mean, the videographers now just charge like 10,000, 20,000. So videographer,
what?
Yeah, because you got to do the trailer shit, bro.
Are we talking CAD, USD? What are we talking?
Canadian.
10 grand CAD?
Maybe more, dude, because they're making like a trailer for you. They're making like a dude. The Indian videographers are so good that they will shoot footage in the morning, and by the evening they'll have like a montage of your life. Yeah, man.
Amish, we gotta move. What was the state we like? Kerala. We're going to Kerala.
Yeah.
And we're gonna start a video production company.
Yeah,
let's come to an understanding. Let's come to an understanding. Phase 2.
Phase 2 is in Kerala, man, because Kerala is
Kerala
a very
wedding
modern
photographers.
Yeah. But then in Kerala, they're not going to spend $100,000 on a wedding. Maybe I think they're beyond that. They're commies, man, and they have free food from the government now and shit like that. But I think that is a good way to go. I mean, these Hindu nationalists.
What do you think of this, by the way? Did you see Andrew Scheer?
Tell me about this.
I thought he stopped being the fucking head of the Conservative Party.
Oh, okay.
No, not Patrick Brown.
Not Patrick Brown, sorry.
Scheer.
Andrew Scheer.
Andrew Scheer came out this week and said that he thinks that Trudeau's being a little too generous with the CERB and that people aren't going to go back to work and that it's actually going to blow the economy sky high.
Okay, well,
what
here we go.
What a tone-deaf thing to say.
Full circle with the Bolsonaro. I mean, he's basically a Canadian Bolsonaro. He's like, hey, I'm not saying
Andrew
we should
Scheer?
go back right now.
He doesn't have the charisma of a Bolsonaro. He doesn't have the charisma of a Bolsonaro.
Yeah, he doesn't have the charisma. But just those comments alone are just very much like a softened version of what
That's
you were
insane.
saying.
What an insane thing to say during a crisis, that people are getting too much money.
Yeah, and this ridiculous concern that they're like, oh, you'll make them lazy. Shut up, you idiot.
I think this is to kind of tie this back into what we were saying earlier. I think that kind of rhetoric is gone, and that is going to be the test of, what the post-COVID world looks like. Because we're going to say, listen, you flipped your cards, and you had to give us that money in a pinch, and you could come up with it.
Yeah.
People say money doesn't just grow on trees. Yeah, it comes from printing presses, motherfucker, and you can print that shit out. It doesn't even have to come from printing press. You type it into a computer and it exists within the world.
Wow. Drew Picklyk is a revolutionary gangster. You're just like, give me the fucking money, government.
I'm not collecting.
Give it to corporations.
Hey, I work for my money, okay? I'm not collecting CERB. I'm not some sort of a deadbeat. But I will say that
hey, don't knock the CERB, pal. Some people are good people are getting that money and they need that money. You better watch it.
I know. But
you're such a lefty, and you're like fucking CERB lazy. It's like you started this to diss Andrew Scheer, and by the end of it, you're just like, fuck these guys taking their free money. It's time to get this economy working.
Hey, man, maybe it's good for you. Okay? But blood, sweat, and tears over here. But I just think that kind of talk, I would like to see that hold up. I'd like to see people right now actually like galvanize and rally around that point that, oh yeah, this relief fund that people are getting is going to destroy the economy. Okay, you idiot. Do you think that this relief fund goes on after the pandemic's over? Do you think people are still going to get their $2,000? Is that what we have in play?
Yeah.
No.
They're crazy.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. And I agree with you. And I think the thing that they're really scared of is that people are going to like it. That's what they're afraid of. Because they're going
to have to do a UBI?
That they are afraid that people are going to realize actually that this is a more efficient way to fund the economy, because your corporations that you give free money to, because they are giving free money to people, and conservatives are notoriously not good at balancing the budget, and notoriously like they sell that about themselves, that like we're gonna balance this budget, but really what they're good at is cutting taxes and giving free money to billionaires and corporations. And at the end of the day,
and implementing austerity that hurts, the average citizen.
Yeah, they basically want everyone, and they peddle this kind of brainwash of like well,
could you imagine COVID austerity? Could you imagine austerity on top of this?
It's fucking India, man. They're fucked. I mean, they're
not providing anyone anything. In Kerala they are, but in Gujarat,
actually, India's doing pretty good. The only thing I'm calling austerity with India is that they were just beating the shit out of people for a while.
And that's not austerity. Austerity is like the money.
The money. It's strictly with money, eh? Spanking.
That's not austerity, because you know what? They're still providing government jobs to beat the shit out of people. So.
Holy shit! Yeah, but they're not being. They're not. From what I can tell, in India right now, Modi is just handing out money. He's basically giving people like free healthcare, free.
That's what I mean. But
bank accounts. He gave everyone a bank account, and
we got to do an episode on MMT. We got to do an episode on modern monetary theory, because I think that this is actually the way things might be going. And Stephanie Kelton, who wrote the book on it, and it's coming out in a couple months, we should try to get her on the show.
Yes. Let's get her on the show.
But she's kind of saying right now we're really testing the waters. We're really going to see.
Yeah.
Is it feasible?
And this is the corona is the backdoor to not communism. I'm exaggerating when I say that, but it is a backdoor to really thinking about all these new ideas that everyone's been so scared of, because the Americans want to brainwash everyone into thinking their way is the only way, basically. And a lot of people just think like, yeah, no, that's the only way to do a thing, or that's the only way to do it is through capitalism. But yeah, we're just all over the place. We're seeing holes in that thinking. And hopefully, like, we do have time now to maybe educate people on this. So yeah, maybe we should do an an episode on modern economic theory next. What do we do that? Should we do that as our bonus? Actually, let's do that on Saturday. What is that? Modern economic theory?
Modern monetary theory. Yeah, we will. We should wrap today, though. Let's wrap.
Yeah, well, let's
anything you want to shout out? MMT. I'll send it to you.
Modern monetary theory. We got to talk about, like, even I saw a great thing about conspiracy theories and how they're taking a hold of people right now. Like, people are.
We'll talk about it, but don't bury the lead. Listen, we'll let them listen to it on the bonus episode.
It's gonna be on the bonus episode.
Let's talk
about there.
Shout out.
Hey man, use my code budmail.com. They'll deliver weed right to your house. They're doing great. Use my code.
Not my
Flower.
code.
It's
not my code.
Amish Flower is the code. Use the code. And not his code, but he's got some fantastic CBD pills coming. And I'll tell you that once he has those CBD pills, I think he's going to be sold.
Oh, do I?
The whole thing.
Oh, wow.
You will. You got CBD pills coming. Yep.
To quote Naomi Klein, this changes everything.
They're in the mail.
Right. I don't really have anything to shout out. I'm wearing this Tilly hat in the basement, doing it dirty.
Yeah.
But we'll see you guys soon at the bonus episode. Thank you so much for listening. This has been Let's Come to an Understanding.
Let's come to
Quarantine edition.
Let's come to an understanding. 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 Let's come to an understanding.